Jai Sriman Narayan. Jai Sriman Narayan. Jai Sriman Narayan. I pay my obeisances to my spiritual master, Srimad Jagadguru Sudarshan Acharya Ji Maharaj. I pay my obeisances to Lord Sri Ramanuj. I pay my obeisances to the Purva Acharyas. I pay my obeisances to the 12 Alvars. I pay my obeisances to Mother Lakshmi. And I pay my obeisances to Lord Sriman Narayan. I welcome all of you here physically at the Sri Narayan Dham in Durban, South Africa. I welcome those that's watching this discourse locally, nationally, and internationally. And I welcome in advance those that's going to be watching this discourse when it is posted on YouTube and the various groups from around the world subsequently. Today, once again, Lord Sri Krishna welcomes you to his final day of his birth celebrations that we started last week, Monday. And I just want to sum up the discourses that we had in the preceding week to culminate this birthday. Had Lord Sri Krishna still been in his mortal coil today, then he would have been 5,248 years old, or 5,252 years old, depending on how the calculation is done. I said at the outset that the birth of Lord Sri Krishna was to establish the supremacy of Lord Sriman Narayan. Then his job was to annihilate the demons and make this planet Earth a safe place for the divine. He established or re-established the Bhagavad Gita after 120 million years. And the Bhagavad Gita is the cream of the Upanishads. It is a scientific summary of everything to do in this universe. Then I also stated that all Bhagavad Gitas that is not a Bhagavad Gita by Lord Sri Ramanuj must be discarded. And I gave you scriptural injunctions. I brought Bhagavad Gitas of two philosophical schools, Dvaita and Advaita, and I showed you how they tempered with the Lord's spoken word to suit their own philosophy. The only Bhagavad Gita that exists verbatim from the time it was written or compiled by Vedavyas and then 1,000 years ago by Lord Sri Ramanuj, and that Bhasya is that information I'm giving you today. So you'll note that the Bhagavad Gita was spoken at which juncture of Lord Sri Krishna's life? Which point? Where? Surenbhai? In a bar, in a pub, in a chutney jowl, on the battlefield. On the battlefield. So there is an essence of militancy, is there not? Then I also tied up with Lord Sri Krishna endorsing the Sri Narayan Dham here in Durban, South Africa, scripturally, and also endorsing his relationship with the Guru scripturally during this week. So another background, because I said in this Sri Krishna Janmashtami celebrations, we are bringing everything home. Suren Bhai, how long you know me? You think? You can't answer, maybe your wife will remember.
About 10 years?
No, I think less than that. 2014. 2013? 2013. Yeah, so I met Suren Bhai at Battenmore. His chairperson brought Suren Bhai and a panelist to view me at the Andhra Sabha in Reservoir Hills. So at that point in time, this institution was in its fledgling state, a few months old, and we were looking for premises around Durban to conduct satsang, and that premises where Suren was, I don't even know how we associated with your chairperson, Mr. Singh, but we were having satsangs in a hall where they were having funerals. That's how desperate we were to have satsang. So a funeral would finish at about 3 o'clock. Mataji and I will bring in a host, we'll host the whole hall, then we'll set up the hall, we'll light about 100 agarbatis, so the ghost runs away. So when you come for satsang, you won't even know there was a funeral a few hours ago. That's how desperate I was to preach the Lord's glories. That's how desperate. So when I wanted to preach the greatness of the Lord in Phoenix, I was connected to the chairperson of that Battenmore temple, and he brought Suren like a bodyguard. You can see his bald head. They sat in one of my satsangs and they gave me all types of looks. They also brought their pandit from India to verify whether I could use their hall, whether I passed the mark to use their hall. Yes, Suren Bhai? Yes, Suren was a gangster. Phoenix gangster. Still is, yeah. Then we got connected, and then I heard he do catering and marquee hiring. You know the exorbitant amounts he used to charge me. Exorbitant amounts. And if one tumbler was broken, Mataji was finished. One plate cracked or one saucer missing, Suren won't leave. Okay? So we got help from the chairperson and we got help from the caterer. This was our austerities and penances to become a guru. Suren Bhai. He's still around, his wife is still around. They pop in occasionally with a good heart, and whenever the Lord sends them, I give them the opportunity to render their service. Everyone won't render the service to the Lord in the same manner. Everyone was born with different uniqueness, and today it was Suren Bhai and his two Bhais. Lord Sri Krishna wanted to culminate his birthday with their talent. Nothing we do is a coincidence. Everything is God incident. Alright? So, as I stated, that's a small background for you. Going a little deeper than that, I was in academia. I used to come in the first 3 in school from the time I know myself. I had no reason to join the military. I had no reason or desire, or I didn't have any attributes to join the military. But God pushed me and I was in the military for 10 years. I received counterinsurgency training, which was rated 4 in the world. It was rated 4th in the world. Dana? It was rated number 4 in the world. And after 10 years I left and I became a businessman. That militancy that was infused in me in my youth is now playing out in my discourses. Is now playing out in my discourses. I have no fear to open the Bhagavad Gita. I have no fear to open any scripture and reject all other scriptures and institutions, because I am militant in my preachings. God trained me and molded me militantly. So then from those people from 2013, who's left here? No, that you should see on my side. Devotees. Okay. Well, Nirvasan always frightens me. I was in deep meditation. I opened my eyes and I saw one hand like breaking into the gates. I couldn't identify the hand, and then I see he's following Hemita. And I thought somebody was trying to place a bomb in this satsang, because I'm bombing some institutions, Surenbhai, and it might not be safe for me. So I thought they sent one of their hitmen. When I open my eyes nicely, I see it's my own Vasudeva. Alright? So I was militant for 10 years in my youth, and I'm using the same militancy to do my preaching, because the type of preaching that God chose me to do, Surenbhai, is not that passive preaching, because if I preach passively, you're not going to get the message. You're not going to get the message. So I'm aggressive in my preaching, but I'm preaching the absolute truth. So yesterday, what was your, Amita? What was your title on yesterday's discourse?
Put you out my mind now.
Look at it quickly.
Okay, so it's better.
And whilst you're finding it, I want you all to go on Facebook, not now, later, on Mina's Facebook. She had her Bhadra Kali outfit on, I think 5 years ago, Mina. She shared a post from 5 years. Alright?
Yesterday's one.
Yeah, yesterday.
The knowledge the bona fide guru gives in satsang is a direct transmission from Vaikuntha.
Okay, you all heard that, Surenbhai? Read it again.
Take that mask out. I'm speaking.
The knowledge the bona fide guru gives in satsang is a direct transmission from Vaikuntha.
You heard, Surenbhai? That is the topic of yesterday's satsang. So when you hearing this, what it is telling you? Direct instruction from
the source.
How are we going to prove this? Shri satisfied? How do we prove that the Guru is speaking, and when he is speaking, he's speaking from his voice is sounding off in Vaikuntha and then into your ear. How are we going to prove this? Who must prove this? The scriptures. So yesterday I read verse 15, chapter 15, verse 15. And in chapter 15, verse 15, Lord Sri Krishna states that I am I am present in your heart, and I went further and I stated not only in your heart, in your soul, because all scriptures state that the Supreme Lord lives in the soul of the living entity, all scriptures, all bona fide scriptures. Then the Lord said that from me you get memory. From me you get memory, remembrance and forgetfulness and knowledge. From who? From the Lord who is situated within your soul. From Him you get knowledge, you get loss of memory, and you get remembrance. So what does that mean, Surenbhai? No contradiction. God is seated in your soul. He gives you memory. He also takes away your memory. He gives you knowledge, and He also gives you ignorance. Ignorance blocks knowledge. All this is done by whom? By the Lord who is living in your soul. That is a Vedic injunction. That is what Lord Sri Krishna states in verse 15, chapter 15. Then he states, I think in chapter 61, that he is seated as if on a material machine, which is your body. He is inside the body and he is spinning you round and round. And then I stated that his spinning is in proportion to your spreadsheet of karma. His spinning is in proportion to your spreadsheet of your karma that you accrued in your previous life. So Lord Sriman Narayan, he has your spreadsheet. He is residing inside your soul, and every millisecond he directs you as per your spreadsheet. So you already have a GPS before you are born, and he drives you. This vehicle, this material vehicle, which is a body, he gives you power to drive this body to your destination. The driver to your destination is not you. It's your super soul, the Supreme Lord, Lord Sriman Narayan. Because he is absolute. He is absolute, and your karma have to be paid out absolutely. In order to make sure it is paid out absolutely, he lives in your soul to make sure that every bit of your karma must be paid out how you harvested it. Who harvested the karma? You. He makes sure by directing your body that your karma is harvested as per your own seed on a spreadsheet. Can you understand? Surenbhai, are you understanding? Then the Lord has stated that whoever surrenders, in chapter 4, verse 34, whoever surrenders to a bona fide spiritual master, his karmas will be turned to ashes through transcendental knowledge. Surenbhai, whoever surrenders to a bona fide spiritual master, his karma will be turned to ashes through transcendental knowledge. Transcendental knowledge means knowledge that is contained in the Vedas. That knowledge, when you hear, it starts wiping off deleting your karmic merits on your spreadsheet proportionately. Are you understanding, Surenbhai? First you take a guru, you check whether the guru is for real. If you feel the guru is for real, then you surrender to the guru. When you surrender to the guru, you come to satsang. When you come to satsang, you hear the guru speaking like this. And I'm going to scientifically explain to you how this takes place within your metaphysical self. Alright? So, we all know that we have consciousness. Any living entity has to have consciousness. A plant has slight consciousness, and a human being has the most active consciousness. We also have a mind. We have a mind. What is the mind made up of? What is the mind composed of? Spiritual or material? What is the mind made up of? No. It is totally material. The mind is made out of material. Alright? The mind is born of Satagun. When the mind is born, when the cosmic mind is born, it's absolutely pure. We are all recipients of the cosmic mind. One atom of the cosmic mind exists above our brain. One atom of the cosmic mind in a gaseous state exists on the top of our brain. It is made from material nature. Anything made from material nature is inferior. It's inferior. The mind belongs to your body. Surenbhai, the mind belongs to your body and your soul belongs to God. Your mind belongs to your body and your soul belongs to God. Now to attain God, you can't use any of the faculties that belong to your body. You have to use the faculty that belongs to God. If you want God, it is logical and commonsensical, Surenbhai, that you can't use the element of one thing to attain another thing. You understand? You must use the same element to get the substantive of the same element. Yes or no? Is it common sense or not common sense? So you need to use your soul to connect to Lord. You can't use your mind. And that is why it is stated, chapter 4, verse 34, that you need to go to a bona fide spiritual master because he has realized the absolute truth. What realized means? Don't go to people who has memorized the absolute truth. Surenbhai, don't go to people who has memorized the absolute truth, because if you have memorized the absolute truth, where it is resident. And the mind has no spiritual potency. It is nature. Mind has no spiritual potency. It is nature. And that is why the Lord states that you must go to a bona fide spiritual master who has realized the truth. The Vedas cannot be researched. Vedas cannot be researched because the researcher will research, Nilesh, with his mind. The mind is not trustable, Surenbhai. Do you trust your own mind even for a second? Because the mind is oscillating 24/7. If the mind is oscillating and you use that oscillating element, how can you visualize the absolute truth? Can you? So consciousness is the symptom of the soul. When something is a symptom of something else, what it means? It is part and parcel of that entity. So consciousness is the symptom of the soul. So we have two types of consciousness. One is the attribute of consciousness. That consciousness would goes outside. So you can feel your attribute of consciousness at your fingertips. Is your fingertip conscious? So that consciousness which is expanding outside your body, outside or within your body, but constricted to the confines of your body is called attributive consciousness. Then within the soul itself, that consciousness which is retained inside the soul is called substantive consciousness. That consciousness makes you aware of your self as the soul. The attribute of consciousness makes you aware of external things. So you have two types of consciousness. One is the substantive, which will make you aware of your self as the soul. That feeling. So then even if I didn't tell you, you always feel 20, don't you? Who does not feel 20? Dana, what you feel? I'm serious. Who does not feel 20? The soul is always feeling youthful. You can go right up to 100. From looking outside, you're not looking inside, but you feeling you're a lighty. So then now and again you don't like to hit a 5 when no one looking. Yes or no? Yes. Waita ma bra, how's it? You don't like to get back into that language because that is a language when you're 20. And when no one looking, you walk in, you hit a bounce. You saw it? So then, do you understand? Where you get that feeling from? That is your substantive consciousness. It is your soul. And you know, Suran, you went to many funerals. You know that the person that is being cremated is different from that person that was living inside. We all know that. Who doesn't know that? Any religion, any culture, any creed, you know there were two entities, don't you? But you only know it as funeral for other people. Now I want you to know it for yourself, that there's two of you. The real you is what the Guru starts teaching you about. And that is spiritual. But in order for the Guru to teach you spirituality, the Guru has to be spiritual himself. Guru has to be spiritual himself. Like a professor of law can only teach you law. He has to be efficient in law. He must know the A to Z in law before you take a class from him, isn't it? Similarly, for you to learn about God is spirituality, then you have to go via a bona fide spiritual master. And no one else can teach you about God. No one else can teach you about God. Why am I saying this, Suren Bhai? Why am I telling you? No one else can teach you about God beside a bona fide spiritual master. On what grounds am I telling you this, Suren Bhai?
You have the knowledge.
No. Because the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord is saying, if you want to get transcendental knowledge, if you want to know me, then you have to know me through a Guru. Who is saying that? The Lord, not the Guru. The Lord. So very quickly, our years and years and years of karma have constricted the attributive consciousness to the size of your body. So your attributive consciousness only remains in the size of your body. Sometimes the size of an ant, sometimes the size of a germ, very small, the eyes cannot see, and sometimes the size of an elephant. That's how much your consciousness expands. But when you have no karma, then your consciousness expands from wherever the soul is to any part of the universe and beyond. To any part of the universe and beyond. For one to become one with the Supreme Lord also have an attributive consciousness. Supreme Lord also has an attributive consciousness. When your consciousness touches the attributive consciousness of the Supreme Lord, what happens? What is the Lord made up of? What is the essence of the Supreme Lord? From countless attributes, what is one of his main essence? Knowledge and bliss. Knowledge and bliss. So when the Guru's attributive consciousness connects to the Lord's attributive consciousness, Yamita, what happens? He is endowed with total knowledge. So then when you met me, that is the time I started satsang. Before that I was a businessman and politician. Businessman and politician. I was actively involved in national politics. I transcended from there and I became a guru. For the first 35 to 40 years of my life, I was an atheist. What an atheist mean by? Never believed in God, I never went to satsangs. No bhajans, no stories, nothing. If I was in my 25 like Sherwin, that's why I was smiling.
So you got a lot of karmas.
Oh?
You got a lot of karmas to overcome.
Well, if you want to look at it that way, but then for me to efficiently explain the Vedas to you, I would have had to be on the other side. You understand? And that was the plan of the Lord Himself. Everything is planned. A guru is born. No one can make a guru. A guru is born. Nobody can make a guru. Okay? So, I played various parts in various parts of my life until I am here today, giving you this information. And I'm giving you this information not through mysticism. So Ranbhai, you know what mysticism means? Mysticism. I'm not touching your head and taking your troubles away. I'm not touching your head and taking your troubles away. I am your software technician. I have to work with all the parts in your software that got a virus called karma. And you and I have to work it out. I give you the tools, you take it home, and you start working on your self, Surenbhai. Yeah, back up, you come to the Guru. This is not those India Gurus and your India Pandit doing all those havans and wasting time. All those things don't work. All those things don't work. You can fast 7 days a week. You can bring 10 liters of milk. You can take a murti and you can drop that milk on that murti. You lie to yourself. How I know that, Surenbhai? No. The Lord never said. The Lord did not say it. But He does say in the Bhagavad Gita that a man of small intelligence, men of small intelligence worship Devis and Devtas. Who says that? So then who? Lord. What He says? Men of small intelligence worship Devis and Devtas. Can we go against what the Creator is saying? It is a thorny subject, Suren Bhai. It is not. This is why I said you have to do this with militancy. You see, if you go around in the other ashrams, and when you go to the Guru in your personal capacity and say, Guru, my family is sacrificing. Can I still sacrifice and be in this ashram? Those gurus will tell you, yes, do what you're doing at home, but come and listen to me here. If you come and ask me that, Suren, what I'm going to tell you?
No. Carry on.
You see, yesterday one of my disciples, he sent me a short video. Which day I was wearing the purple outfit?
I remember.
When?
I think Thursday.
Yeah. So I saw that short video, I'll show you after satsang. In that satsang, he said, Acharya, Guru, I enjoyed this. Because in that satsang I said, this is a kicking, booting, slapping satsang. This is a kicking, booting, slapping satsang. Here you come to get pure. Here you come to get pure. Otherwise you're wasting your time, Suren Bhai. Look at yourself and how long you are practicing religion. Look at the temple, how long you'll be trying to get it right. How long it's taking. Yes or no?
Yes.
When I came to you, I had nothing. Yes or no?
Yes.
Look today what I have. Why? Because it means what I am doing is right. I left business by, nothing in business. I left business and the Lord has provided us this facility. How much it is worth now, Vasudeva?
Good few pounds.
Alright? This was a forest, and a dilapidated building. There was nothing here, no windows, no ceiling, no roof, nothing. You couldn't even park one car, it had no driveway. The Lord made all this possible in only 3 years. No big donors. He is a treasurer. Nobody put in the bus. Nobody. You understand? So, when we discourse like this, it's not to offend you, Suren Bhai, it's to change your mindset and say, listen, if this Guru is saying that he is only repeating what God is saying, if you do not want to follow God, then who are you following, Suren Bhai? You understand? All of you understand? Everyone understands? Suren Bhai, I'm only using your name. Alright? This discussion is not for you. I'm also talking to the world. This discourse is being distributed around the world. And this problem is not only here in South Africa, Suren Bhai. It's in India as well. So, gurus take the birth from time to time to bring these absolute truths through to you. Okay? And I stated that in Satyug, you heard of Satyug, Suren Bhai? You heard of Satyug? Satyug lifespan is how many? 100,000 years. You live for 100,000 years in Satyug. To connect to God in Satyug is through meditation, because you have a lot of time. Surendra, you have a lot of time. Treta Yuga, lifespan 10,000 years. Type to connect to the Lord, gorgeous rituals and ceremonies. Treta Yuga. Dwapara Yuga, time span 1,000 years. Man lives for 1,000 years, and the type of your communication to reach God, deity worship. Currently we are in Kali Yuga. And according to Vedic injunctions, in Kali Yuga you can only reach God through Sankirtana Yajna. What does Sankirtana Yajna mean, Surendra? Glorifying God through paraphernalia, singing and discourse. That is all. Whose instructions that is? The Lord's. If in this country we have the constitution, we have criminal law A, and we have the statutory laws, we have the municipal laws, we have the provincial laws. If you live outside these laws, what must happen to you? You must be brought to book, isn't it? So if you claim to be Hindus, but you're living outside the scriptures of the Lord Himself, not someone else's God, not Jesus Christ, not Allah. Is Lord Sri Krishna not the supreme Hindu God? Yes or no? If you are living outside His law, then don't you think you are transgressing? Surenbhai? Yes. Why you think He incarnated? To give you a law. He gave you that law. If you are not abiding by that law, then you are in transgression. Yes or no? Okay. So, Bhai, this is what I've been doing since 2013. I give a discourse and I verify it with scripture. So I'm going to conclude now. You can start making the prasad. I'm going to conclude all what I stated now with scripture. Alright? That which is not in the scriptures, you all can go on YouTube and find my discourse for this Krishna Janma Astami week. Surenbhai, this is called the Srimad Bhagavatam. It is one of the authorized scriptures in Sanatan Dharma. Alright? Canto 7, chapter 14, text 40. Sometimes a neophyte devotee offers all the paraphernalia for worshipping the Lord, and he factually worships the Lord as the deity, but because he is envious of the authorized devotees of the Lord, Vishnu, the Lord is never satisfied with his devotional service. Now who is stating this? The Lord. It is a Vedic injunction. In this Vedic injunction, it is stated that those who are envious of the Guru, those who are envious of the Guru, nevertheless worships the Lord. That worship is in vain. This is a Vedic injunction I'm reading. If you are envious of the Guru and still worship the Lord, then that worship goes in vain. Alright? That is text 40. If you go on Google and type in Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 7, chapter 14, verse 40, this will come up. This will come up, so you can see whether I'm deceiving you. You can verify it yourself, not you, but anyone here and around the world. Then the next verse is saying, Canto 7, chapter 14, my dear king, comma, of all persons, a qualified Brahmana must be accepted as the best within this material world, because such a Brahmana, comma, by practicing austerity, comma, Vedic studies and satisfaction, becomes the counterpart body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What does this verse mean? When a person becomes the counterpart body of the Supreme Lord? Jay is not here today. Satish? Shri Satish? When they say somebody becomes the counterpart body of the Supreme Lord, what it means? That the Lord is working through that person. The Lord is working through that person. And then the last one, they're making prasad outside.
Yes, sir.
Just check how far they are. My dear King Yudhishthira, comma, the Brahmanas, comma, especially those engaged in preaching the glories of the Lord throughout the entire world, comma, are recognized and worshipped by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, comma, who is the heart and soul of all creation. Full stop. The Brahmanas, comma, by preaching, comma, sanctify the three worlds with the dust of the lotus feet, comma, and thus they are worshipable even for Krishna. So who worships the Guru at the end? I'm talking about a bona fide Guru. Lord Sri Krishna himself. Are you understanding the context of the discourse? It is in this week only, Suren Bhai, that I connected the Guru, Sri Narayan Dham, and the Lord after 8 years. I presented over 1,000 bona fide discourses around the world on YouTube. And after 8 years, I am now declaring the absolute truth. And I told them yesterday, I'm doing it after 8 years because we've already practiced what I have preached. You must practice what you preach. All of you understand? This Sri Narayan Dham, on the 6th and 7th of January 2018, was the first institution in this Kali Yuga to preach and sing and make the entire world know that Lord Sriman Narayan is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. History will show you, you can go on the internet, it was never ever done before in the world. We are the first institution to preach the glories of Lord Sriman Narayan to every continent on this globe, live for 24 hours in a row. We started the Lord Sriman Narayan awareness in this world, in this Kali Yuga. In this Kali Yuga. The evidence is there on internet. On the 6th and 7th, I logged on to Google to show as evidence who is Lord Narayan. There was only one paragraph. Only one paragraph. Today go on Google and look for Lord Narayan, and you'll see the world has become aware of the existence of Lord Sriman Narayan. Does that fit into this last verse? Does it fit into the last verse that I read? That if you preach the Supreme Lord, He'll give you capacity to preach to the universe. Is it here in this verse? Suren Bhai, you heard me read it. Don't you think this is what must give Hindus satisfaction? When you preach, you must corroborate. When you preach, you must corroborate. Don't you think this is the type of satsang we should be going to, Suren Bhai? And don't you think this is the type of satsang you should be having when you start your temple? Invite, there's lots of gurus. Invite gurus, make them come and make them preach and teach. This is the way to do it. This is the way to do it. Are there any questions from anyone? Bhai, any question? Bhaiya? Anything? Something has upset you, you can ask, we can sort it out. My discourses always upset people, but in the 8 years, nobody has. I'm live. Nobody has taken me on. Why? 8 years, I took on Muslims, I took on Christians, and I took on Hindus. Why has nobody counted me? These discourses are posted in over 130 groups with millions of views. Why hasn't anybody taken me on? Sorry? Who can go against scripture? Because if you take me on, then you must come with an alternate scripture, isn't it? Who can go against scripture? You understand? So I always put the challenge every now and again that you are allowed to debate with me in a decent manner. In a decent and respectable manner. And the most decent and respectable manner to debate with the Guru is debate through scripture. Jai Sriman Narayan.